guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name's Martin and I make psychology-inspired, philosophy-inspired videos, and today's topic is one which I think is very important to talk about, and one which is kind of just like sad in the sense that people have so much more potential and growth inside of them, but this concept or phenomena can be very limiting. And the phenomena or concept, I don't even know what to call it, is called victim mentality. You might have heard the term before. I'm just gonna start by defining it, and then I'm going to talk about why it's like a dangerous mentality to have with regards to one's growth, and then also how we can try to overcome this kind of a mentality. So first of all, what is it? I define it as, or I conceptualize it as, an intense identification with being a victim of things that happen in one's life. So events will happen to you, people might do shit towards you, whatever it may be. These people tend to always point their point the finger towards circumstance or to other people, so as to not take responsibility for things that happen themselves, or not take a situation and grow from it at least as much as they can. So a common one that people say is that this person fucked me up, and a very common one within that category is my parents fucked me up, my childhood fucked me up. They'll point to all the things that fucked them up. In so saying, they are insinuating that they can't change a lot of the time. Like, I mean, I sometimes will say, you know, certain people have kind of fucked me up, but in so saying that, I'm also changing, and like, I'm just realizing that that's kind of like a part of me, but I'm not, like, the shitty parts that I've gotten from circumstances in my life, I'm trying to work on, if that makes sense. But in this kind of victim mentality, you're just pointing fingers and not intending on like growing from it, if that makes sense. I'm hoping that I'm explaining this properly, because I've tried to film this several times and I don't know why my brain is going off on tangents and like I forget what I'm saying, so hopefully you guys know what I mean. I have notes, by the way, that's why I'm looking down. I just want to make sure to make this distinction. There is a distinct difference between being a victim, because we are victims in certain things in our lives, like things happen to us that we don't want to happen to us. You know, examples are rape, having family members or someone close to us be a drug addict, stuff like that. Those things are real and we are victims to things in our lives. I'm not saying that victimhood isn't a thing that happens, but there's a difference between the intense identification with being a victim and having that kind of mentality bleed into other aspects of your life. So such a person with a victim mentality will, you know, be in traffic and they'll be mad at the world because they're in traffic, and, you know, they'll blame other people for things commonly, and like this sort of being a victim bleeds into like a lot of different aspects in their life. These kind of people will all, and I also don't want to say kind of people, because I don't think that anyone's like statically have a victim mentality. I think it's a pattern of thoughts that we can get into. So I don't want to say kind of people, I'm sorry that I said kind of people, but people who have this kind of mentality, that's a better way of saying it. People who have this kind of mentality will often think that other people have it better than them, and they'll often think that this is due to circumstance. So particularly, they'll tend to feel jealous or envious of someone who's successful, and they will attribute people's success to, you know, beneficial circumstances that these people had, rather than those people actually working really hard to get to where they are, like to get to their success. So in so doing, in justifying other people's success by the people who have success as circumstances, they're also justifying the fact that they might not be somewhere really good in their life because of their circumstances, events that have happened to them. The focus is on events are happening to the people with this mentality, and they can't change events, like they can't give back, if that makes sense. So hopefully that made sense. That was like a long explanation, but I hope that you guys understand what kind of mentality I'm talking about. Also, I think we all have this mentality to some extent. I feel like it's, I don't know, it's very prominent in us, and I think we go through phases of having this mentality more than I feel like we go through phases where we have more of this mentality than not, and there's extremes and like lower scales of this mentality, but I think we all have it to some extent, whether it be high or low. So I'm not saying, you know, oh, there's these like people that have this mentality and like, oh my god, like it's so stupid. I don't want this video to come across as that, because I'm subject to this, you're subject to this, we're all subject to having this kind of mentality. I feel like when we're having really bad days, that's exactly the mentality that we have. You know, when you're just like, fuck this shit? Like, why is all this shit happening to me? Like, we all have days like that, and we all have periods like where we think like this. So I'm not saying I'm perfect, not saying I don't have this mentality ever, but I would say most of my life I don't have this mentality, because I wouldn't be here where I am today. Not that I'm at this wonderful place, but like I wouldn't have done the things that I've done, which I don't know, like I've done some accomplishments in my life, like I get good grades, and I've come to Canada to study and stuff, and I wouldn't have done those things if I would have victimized myself to like things in my life. I think most of me, I don't have a victim mentality, but obviously, like I said, faces. So now I want to get into why this is such a dangerous mentality to have in relation to one's own growth. I feel like I need water. I need water. No, I'm not gonna go with butter. I should though. Okay, I'm coming back. So I kind of already touched upon why it's such a dangerous mentality to have, and I've kind of summed it up as two things, and that is that you throw away responsibility, and it also views your downfalls as static. So in your pointing to other people for why you're fucked up and why your life sucks, you're also throwing away responsibility in the sense that you're saying they're the reason, and I'm just gonna sit here bitch and moan about it, basically. And in that way, you're viewing your characteristics as static. If you are kind of like pointing fingers to people for things that have happened to you, like say you have some traumatic thing that happened and you're pointing fingers to them and saying that they did it and you're changing, that's not really, I wouldn't say that's a victim mentality if you're growing from it. It's basically pointing the fingers to other people and then sitting down and like being like, yeah, I'm just fucked up and that's just how it is. And that's a very dangerous mentality to have, because it is taking the pain from in your life, things that have happened to you, you know, I'm sure really bad things have happened, and it's taking that and then just bringing more pain into it, in the sense that you're like, it's letting it affect you more than it would if you took it and tried to learn and grow and change from it. So that's why I think this is such an important thing to have a discussion about and to realize more in one's own life. It's important that we realize that we can grow and we can do more than we think we can, and we can, I don't know, just change our lives and change other people's lives by talking about these things and by letting people know, like, hey, you know, you could do something. Like, for example, if someone's like, oh, I like this thing, like this hobby, but I just have never gone and tried it, and it's like, well, remind them that they can, and then if they don't have the money, for example, maybe suggest some ways of like figuring it out, or just like remind them ways that they can figure it out. For example, like I like to say to people, if they have a daunting task, break it out into like smaller pieces and stuff. Anyways, I'm going off tangent, and that kind of leads me into how do we reframe our mindsets with regards to victimhood. Sorry, I shouldn't put that on there. So I guess, yeah, I didn't really think of the one I just said. It's not on my list, but yeah, you can remind people of how they can fix things. You know, maybe give them strategies that you might have learned. Like I said, break things down into smaller tasks and realize that you'll feel good after you've done these things to improve yourself, or whatever like difficulties you're facing, maybe as a result of something that happened to you, something someone did. Like, I'm not saying shit doesn't happen and people don't do shit to you. It's just realizing that you have more power to change than you may think. So that is one point, is just to realize that you have more control over things in your life than you think you do, and that just as events can happen to you, you can make events happen. Like, it's not a one-way street. It's not like you're just some, like, we use this in my philosophy class, it's not like you're just some like sculpture and there's like a sculptor, someone outside of you that's fucking hacking away at you, and you can fucking hack back and be like, fuck you, I'm gonna fucking become a Febreze bottle. Just kidding. A beautiful Febreze bottle, mind you, just kidding. That was weird, but my point is just that realize that just as events can happen to you and they can be bad, you can make good events happen by your own actions. But then also, I realized that there are certain situations that are bad that you cannot control. So if you are in a bad situation, you know, that you can't control, and examples are situations, for example, with a family member who has some kind of addiction problem, or like some kind of mental illness that is out of your control, then realize maybe how you can learn from it. I know I have certain interests because of certain certain things that have happened to me in my life. Like there's certain things in psychology I find really interesting because they explain things that have happened to me in my life. So I'm kind of taking those bad things that happened to me and then applying it to my studies and learning more about them. I don't know if that makes sense. So when things aren't out of your control, when things are out of your control, you gotta realize that they are and not try to change them, because that's just fucking exhausting and it's yeah. But then also, like, there are certain things you think are out of your control that are actually in your control. I think the things that are out of our control are a lot of the time has to do with other people's behavior. And, you know, if it's in a situation where you can leave, you know, it's really toxic, like a toxic relationship, then leave. Like, don't fucking stay in that. But, like, sometimes it's like, you know, family, and it's more like, you know, some people will still say leave, like, and I guess maybe, I don't know, but then I don't know, that's a whole other topic, and yeah, I'm just gonna move on from that because it can get pretty complicated. But yeah, accept things that happen to you, accept that, you know, you are a victim in some sense, but also accept that, you know, focus on the solution. Like, how can you grow from this? How are you gonna solve this? How can I use these bad things that happened to me to grow? For example, maybe I can help people that are in that situation right now. Like, if it's a situation you grew up with, for example, how can I help people that are in that situation right now? How can I be a role model for those people because I had a similar experience happen to me? You know, stand up for people who are going through things that you've gone through. I don't know, it's just, there's so much you can do with the victimhood that is not having the victimhood mentality. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, okay, I think that I'm gonna be done now. I feel like this video is all over the place. I have like had issues like recording this. For some reason my brain's just like like, I don't know. So yeah, let me know if you guys like this video. I get kind of passionate about topics like this because I just want to see people be the best person, be the best version of themselves that they can be. And when I see people kind of like drowning in their own misery, which I do every now and then, not saying I'm perfect, but like when I see people not like doing their potential, if that's even a thing to say, then I don't know, I just want people to do well. Follow me on Instagram at Mara Christina if you guys want, and subscribe if you guys enjoy this kind of content. Let me know what other kind of topics you guys want me to talk about in the description below. Not description, in the comments. See, my brain's fucked. In the comments below. And I'm just gonna see you guys in my next video because my brain is not working today. Okay, bye guys.